morning papers. We've got broadcaster Pete Price and PR and crisis management expert Kevin Craig. Lovely to see you both again. And Pete, we're going to kick off with you this hour. And you've gone for a story inside the Mail. And this is about a group of migrants. They've been protesting on the streets in London outside their hotel. What's the story about?
The headline is very deceiving. Migrants moan their three-star hotel just isn't good enough. They've been outside stopping people going in, overly dressed, considering the weather's nice. They're complaining it's 4 to a room. It's 25 of them complaining. And they say the toilet facilities are inadequate. And then you read on and then you hear that they haven't had any food and there's been all sorts of problems. So it's a very naughty headline, because it made me angry, and then I read on. But what these people must realise is they're in the centre of London. There is nowhere to stay in London. I pay a fortune, like everybody else, when you go down in hotels. So where they think the accommodation's coming from, I do not know. And there are so many people on the streets, so many people without anywhere to live. It is a deceiving article, but if you read on, they've got a few problems themselves. But wow, we've just been in a pandemic. We've got no money in the kitty.
Well, yeah, it seems to be some kind of row between the council and the government as well about what provision was going to be made, doesn't it? But it is in the Mail, I suppose. You know, this is a paper which, you know, if you look at readerships and you look at the message that they do have about immigration and migrants, it's perhaps not a total surprise.
No, not a total surprise at all.
Okay. Kevin, you've picked the back page of the Mirror, the FA Cup final. Manchester City and United never met before at an FA Cup final. It's a massive day, isn't it?
It is, Jane, and I know that not everybody is a football fan, but today is one of those days where a sports story is really bursting out of the back pages. And the Mirror carries a really good one, which talks about the hype, treble and strife and the competition and Man City's desire to replicate what United did in '99. But let's remember, over 500 million people will be watching this football match on TV later today. I'm not sure how many people will be left in Manchester, and it really is going to be a spectacular event both, and I'm very lucky my partner developed an interest in Phil Foden for some reason after the World Cup and has become a massive Man City fan, so we will be at the match later, so very excited.
I'm so jealous, but there will be loads of people left in Manchester. There's an Elton John concert and an Arctic Monkeys concert. There's loads of stuff going on for those people who are still in Manchester. Don't you worry, but they will be watching on the telly, I bet, as well beforehand. Pete, you've gone for a story inside the Express now, and this is about banks and about saving rates, rocketing deals for savings, highest rates for 12 years, which is great if you've got any, isn't it?
It is indeed, and can I just say before I mention this, be safe, all those fans driving down the motorways, because it's going to be chaos, so please be safe. As an LFC fan, be safe. Now, it's about time the banks started encouraging people to save again. I come from the age where I was told to save and to live within my means. The banks have been profiteering for a long time through the cost of living. Now they're talking about maybe 7.5% in interest rates, and the building societies as well. So the whole story's about this, but it's been ridiculous. It's been at zero, or nearly 0% for so long, and we're supposed to be saving to help our old age, because there's going to be nothing left in the pension pot for these youngsters. So you've got to start saving. Go back to old values and don't say, I've got no extra money to save. Stop smoking, put it in the bank.
Oh, Pete, they're going to be writing in their thousands. You know, they will argue that, you know, the cost of living and what young people are paid these days doesn't give them anything left to save. You're not going to begrudge them the coffee, are you?
No, not at all. But I knew somebody who was on benefits and actually put money away. He was actually saving money.
Well, good for him. Kevin,
Can
perhaps...
I say, Jane, just one thing on sorry to interrupt, but just to add to this story that Pete chose. The thing that a lot of people will be very frustrated about is the banks have taken so long to increase interest rates on savings. But let me assure you, as somebody in business, that they are still charging very unattractive rates for lending if you wish to expand or do things in business. So that contrast remains very grating.
Oh, and in your mortgage as well. And you've stayed with Money for your choice in the Telegraph, which is the other end of the scale, which is the most wealthy, concerned about inheritance tax, and apparently so much so that they're fleeing the UK.
Yeah, now, this story really got my goat, if I may say, because the Telegraph has been running this campaign and seems to be one of the few newspapers that still is encouraging us to listen to what Liz Truss says, even though so many people across the country are paying more in their mortgages due to her brief and disastrous tenure in Number 10. And the Telegraph today has run, which I also, alarm bells go off, because as a PR communications professional, when I see surveys, I know there's a lot of a backstory to it. So here we have a firm, Hackett Young, telling us that people are fleeing the country, propelled to leave because of rising inheritance tax rates. And this campaign is, I have to say, is quite niche, because what it doesn't really focus on enough is, in this country, 3.76% of people's estates fall into inheritance tax. Inheritance tax, we're talking about 23,000 people across a year who die, whose estate is subject to this. And, you know, the big picture in a country that many feel is falling apart, and it hasn't got better in the last 13 years, is that we as a country, 33% of our tax, we pay tax versus GDP. We are, nobody likes paying more tax than they have to, and I understand that. But, what the story conveys is a sense of panic in a survey propelled by a niche firm of accountants. And the reality is, for most people, this is not the number one issue. They're more bothered by 7 million people plus people on waiting lists, Daily Telegraph.
Okay. We're going to pause and leave it there. We've got a couple more papers to get through, but you're going to have to save them for the next hour. So people are going to have to stay tuned for that, because we all want to see what's happened to the picture of William and Harry at the National Portrait Gallery, don't we, Pete? So Pete Price and Kevin Craig, thank you both so much, and we'll see you again at 1:45 the next hour. But still to come on Sky News Breakfast, we'll get more on the rescue operation in India following this major train crash. More than 250 people are now thought to have died.